imperial and paradox reporting for you. Yes. You'll be alive on arrival. It's so vital, giving tribute to the vision of those this life stifled, to win against the system like Christ's disciples die.
All right, people, welcome to this episode of the Vision2Mission podcast. Check this out. Today, we're going straight up unscripted. Okay, unscripted. I got my guys here with me today. I got Sirmet Beck, who's got your back, and I got my man Sean Goral of Legacy Insurance Group, coming straight out of Cancun, looking good, smelling good, sounding good. And we are going to talk about this. We're going to talk about motivation versus discipline. Now, I got Sirmet and Sean specifically for this podcast because we have, a lot of things in common as fathers, as entrepreneurs, as husbands, as men who want to serve our communities. But we listen to a lot of different podcasts. We look at a lot of different motivational videos. We follow different entrepreneurs and things of that nature. And so we just wanted to be able to talk and share today about the things that we're learning, from those people, the things that we are working on in our personal lives and in our professional lives, and just to really be able to kind of see, okay, well, is motivation the same as discipline? Is it different? And if it's different, then how it's different. So with that said, Sirmet and Sean, welcome to the podcast, guys. How you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Absolutely. How you doing, Sirmet?
Thanks for putting us on, dog. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Yeah, bring your mic up just a little bit for me so I can hear you a little bit better.
Sorry about that. Yeah, thanks for putting us on, Brandon. You're the man, bro. Appreciate it.
No doubt. So, all right. So as we get into this, let's just dive right into the question of the hour, and then we'll kind of get into some stuff. So as entrepreneurs, right, as men who are, running your own companies, you're basically eating what you kill, right, in terms of getting your clients, prospecting, working on yourself personally, working on yourself professionally. How do you view motivation, right, that spark, but versus the discipline? So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Sean. How do you view both of those with regards to your life and what you're looking to accomplish?
That's an easy question. I mean, motivation, when you have it, it's easy to show up and do the things that you need to do and execute. But realistically, that's a temporary feeling. So the way that you apply discipline is just whether you feel like doing it or not, you just got to show up and execute. And so that's the difference between high achievers and average people. Is average people execute when they have motivation, when things are going their way, when they feel great. High achievers, whether it's, you got no sleep last night, whether you're overworked, overstressed, if you've got discipline, you know what you need to do to anchor yourself and get your critical task done. So, it's a practice, right? The more that you do things that require discipline, the more discipline that you develop. But I'm only motivated probably 20% of the time. 80% of the time is discipline.
Definitely appreciate that. And what you got, Sirmet?
I like that, man. I mean, motivation is your why. You got to make sure your why is worth whying. So if your why is strong, you're going to create the discipline to try to get that why, whatever it may be. If you want to make $1 million a year, go ahead. If you want to solve world hunger, go ahead. So you got to make sure that why is deep.
No, absolutely.
I'll say also there's two types of motivation. There's pull motivation, the type where if you have big goals that excite you, make you want to get out of bed before the alarm goes off and kind of like pulls you into the day. Very few people have that. The other most common type of motivation is the push motivation. People need to be pushed by external factors, usually negative consequences, right? So like if they don't feel like going to work today or getting up out of bed, they know that there's some negative consequences associated with not doing those things. So then they're motivated by push. It's much better to have pull motivation. Wake up early, execute the things you need to do, mm-hmm. and control the day so the day doesn't control you.
No, I really do appreciate that. And I think that's true. There are times when, it's funny. There are times when I'll plan out my week. I tend to plan out my week, mid to late on Sundays. I'll sit down with, and have my I have a board here where I have a list of goals or things I want to accomplish for that particular work week. Right. And then I have my daily to-do list that I go through, and I'll say to myself, okay, I'm going to get up every single day at this time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I mean, inevitably something happens that will either discourage me, get me off track, just kind of mess up my mind. And and this hardly ever goes the way that I plan. And I think, Sean, that's probably because there's too many push, right, motivators. And then I'm like, oh, I got to do this, or I'm thinking negatively versus allowing that pull, to get me out of bed when the alarm is going off at 5:30 in the morning, even though I know I'm going to be tired for the first 5 minutes. But after that first 5 minutes, I'm up. I'm ready to go, but it's really fighting through that. And so, Sirmet, how do you fight through that? Right? Like on a day when you have a lot to do, right? And some of it is exciting, some of it's not. How do you push through that?
Most of it's not exciting. It's the habits, and you got to start small to build those habits. We're creatures of habit, right? And
right.
If you're intimidated, like a lot of people haven't worked out a day in their life, they haven't gone to the gym. So when they do go there, they're so intimidated, or they go there. I was just listening to Terry Crews on one of his podcasts. He was like, you want to treat the gym like a spa to build that habit. So you go to the first day you're at the gym, January 1st, you set a goal. All right, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm just going to walk around, take a sip of water, maybe touch a piece of equipment. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just going to grab my sip of water, take a walk around, say hello to everybody, and hit the road. And then tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing. And then as you just build the habit of going there, you're going to eventually pick up something. You're going to see, oh, Johnny's over there. I've seen Johnny 10 times. He does this machine every single day. Let me try this machine. And then you slowly got to build the habits. It's all about habits. And kind of going back to the motivation thing, I was thinking about Jerry Rice. So Jerry Rice, his Hall of Fame speech, he goes, fear was his biggest motivator. Fear of failure, fear of not catching the ball, fear of going back to catching bricks with his dad. Just that fear kind of pushed him. The fear of not wanting to be where he was again really pushed him to be great. So kind of what you said, Sean, with the motivators, two motivators. Sometimes fear can be a good motivator. The fear of, worrying about your rent is due, that kind of stuff to think about. You never want to go back to those days, kind of for motivation. But yeah, and then as far as discipline, it's all about the habits, man. Build the habits little by little every single day. And we're humans. Humans are creatures of habit, and you just keep pushing from there.
It's crazy also how your environment can play a role in your motivation, right? So the most difficult thing that you might do on any given morning is put your shoes on and go to the gym. You really don't want to do it. Once you leave the house, then you start having car thoughts. I get a lot of great ideas when I'm driving, and it's just my mind picking up information from my environment. And then, when I do go to the gym, I'm motivated by being there. So it's like, whether I'm lifting or doing some sort of cardio that's affecting the amount of blood and oxygen that's getting to my brain, so it affects my thoughts. I get perspective on a lot of problems that I was trying to solve, or I just get new ideas. And so, if you're not doing those things to anchor yourself, you're going to have a tough time getting motivated. So like to your point, Sirmet, it is a practice. Something you practice every day. Nobody's just born with motivation. You gotta pay your dues every day to earn it.
That's right. The rent is due.
No, absolutely. And so who are, I guess we can mention different people, but who are some of the people that you look at online, or maybe one or two of the books that you've read or anything like that, that's really helped you with regards to either motivation or really working toward that discipline? So I'll start with you, Sirmet, and then we'll go over to Sean.
The first book that really changed everything for me was 10X, Grant Cardone, Uncle G. Uncle G, 10X man, I give you all the credit. Everything is due. You know, a lot of thing that changed my whole mindset, especially when I was at Liberty Mutual, is wait a minute. If I just multiply my goal by 10, multiply the effort that I'm doing by 10, I'm winning. And you know, and as Tony Montana once said, the world is yours. So that was the biggest one. And then the other ones, the classic ones, Napoleon Hill. You know, a lot of the stuff in the old books, like Napoleon Hill's, I forget the name of the book, but
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich, and then
Think and Grow Sean Goral. Yes.
Think and Grow, become Sean Goral. One day we couldn't be like Sean. What was the other one? Napoleon Hill?
I don't know.
The big one?
Anton, can you look up the other book by Napoleon Hill?
Was it The Law of Success?
The Law of Success. That's the one. So a lot of that stuff, Think and Grow Rich, Law of Success, a lot of that stuff GC still talks about in his books, you know. So like I read all of Grant's books, and a lot of the stuff is like regurgitated from those older books, but it's nice to hear Uncle G's voice behind it. And you know, I listen. I don't read as much, but I listen more. So it's nice to hear Uncle G yelling at you. You know.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And who you got, Sean?
The most recent book that I listened to was Never Finished by David Goggins, and so that's just even more crazy tales of discipline. You know, his first book talked a lot about running the ultra marathons, but this is, I believe, from 2016 through 2022, and that's inspiring. I mean, running the Moab 240, it's like it takes 4 or 5 days to complete, and so that's a prime example of how powerful your mind is. Even when you don't feel like doing something, there's an example of someone else out there that's going 10 or 100 times harder than you. So what excuse do you really have?
Thanks.
Right.
And not a book, but I recently watched a full-length interview with Kobe Bryant. I think it was one of his last interviews with PBD. Amazing interview. And he talks about playing in the finals with like the flu, with 102-degree fever, playing, I think it was Toronto Raptors with a broken Achilles heel. And he just said, like, you know, people paid their hard-earned money to watch me perform. So however I'm feeling is irrelevant. You know, like us winning this game is more important than my pain, because it's selfish to think about myself. Like, I'm here to execute for the team. And so I draw inspiration from a lot of those individuals, but that's just what I've been consuming recently.
No, I got it. And I tell you, like, it's if you look at like someone like a Kobe, you know, or like a David Goggins, I really admire like whatever is going on in there, right? That's kind of really pushing them and pulling them. And, you know, thinking about David Goggins and the different videos, you know, that he does, you know, one of my favorite, I think we talked about this before, but it's the dog mentality, you know, you know, and anybody who knows me knows I have a dog and I love my dog, but he talks about his dog is never full. And I'm like, damn. When I see my dog eat, that he just comes and sits, and I'm like, you're never full. Like, where does that food go? But it's like, it's an insatiable desire, you know, for more. And, you know, Sirmet, you had mentioned, like, you know, Uncle G, right? Cash flow, baby, right? And 10X. And we had, about a month and change ago, I had Phil Ricardo Jr. on the podcast. He's a multi-time Mr. Natural Universe, right? So check out that podcast. One of the things he talked about in his workout routine is he said he does 10 sets of X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, no, you do 10 reps. No, he said 10 sets. And I'm like, what? You know, but like when you do so much, right, you can't help but grow. You're going to tear some stuff down, but in tearing stuff down, you grow. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have to, be able to tear down what is holding us back, right? Some of that dead weight, and really so that we can grow the muscle that will help us to propel and, and get higher. And furthermore, I think with regards to David Goggins, if I'm right, like he had something to prove, right, to himself, right? Being almost 300 pounds, right? Dead end job, just discouraged, just really no place to go in life. Having, failed certain tests in the military, right? Not being able to swim, right? Being, quote, negative buoyant, all that stuff. And I would really guess that is really pushing him to this very day, right? Because he wants to, so at some point I would think you get past having to prove stuff to other people, but now you want to reach certain milestones and prove things to yourself, So, Sean, has that ever been kind of the case with you? Whether, like, for example, you made a physical transformation. So let's talk about that, right? What was one of the things that inspired you, a couple of years ago in terms of making that physical transformation? And also add, when you started your company, right? What inspired you and motivated you to start your own company and to also make that transformation?
I would say, as far as the physical transformation, definitely the motivation behind that was...
What's that noise? Is that your money counter?
It's my robot vacuum behind me. Definitely the inspiration for that change was a Tony Robbins event that we went to, where I was just kind of like, most things were going well for me in my life at that point. The one thing that I didn't have a lot of mastery was like my physical health, my energy levels. And, I knew that I was overweight at the time. So we did this exercise using NLP and visualization, which is like addressing the problem. And if it's not corrected, how bad can it get? And just imagining that situation getting worse and worse and worse until it's like unbearable. And so then that took my headspace to like a future version of myself that I didn't really want. I definitely didn't want. And so that was the impetus for that transformation. So as far as starting my own business, I just knew that I go against the grain a lot, and I like doing things my way. And so there was a part of me that was just seeking out freedom, creativity, and just, not wanting to answer to other people. And so entrepreneurship was kind of a inevitable avenue for me to seek out. Much harder to lead yourself and lead others than to follow. But totally worth it, right? So like anything that you want to improve, to your point, Brandon, you need to look for opportunities to get reps in. So if you're not as social as you want to be, initiate conversations with strangers until you get those reps in. If you have a fear of rejection on the phone, you need to make sales calls until you get so many reps in that you've built up a muscle or a skill set. And so discipline is definitely required to do that.
Yeah. It's funny. And like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, at least, that forces you to grow and get better than resistance. Right. I mean, it's like, that's what they call it, like resistance training, whether it's physical or whether it's in the field or whatever, because again, it forces you on a mental level to push, to strategize, to kind of think forward. And again, physically, it does things to you that forces you to adapt. But those things but the mind and the body have to work in sync in order for us to grow, and really in any aspect. And so, Sirmet, on a different note, looking back, we're just a few weeks out of 2022. Looking back at 2022, what are some things that you feel that you did well, but some things that you want to work on and improve in 2023, and combine that with, do you have more of a vision for yourself, either personally or professionally this year?
So leadership has been a striking point for me. I want to be the best leader I could possibly be, whether it's for my business and for my family. So working on leadership, reading as much as I can, implementing what I'm reading, and it's, the thing with leadership is I don't think there's like a clear cut formula for it. Besides being human and caring for whoever you're leading, and whether it's, and then lead by action too. So leading by action, shown the people, whether I'm thinking about my kids, but my son just started playing basketball. So Jesse Itzler was saying 5 minutes a day, practice with your kid on whatever sport. I think he was doing soccer. Puts those kids way ahead of the other kids because they're not practicing every single day for 5 minutes. 5 minutes times 7 is 35 minutes per week that the other kids aren't doing. So all that little stuff adds up. So I guess it's the leadership, doing all the little things, building good habits, going to the gym, eating right. This year I'm gonna try to do some intermittent fasting and really work on my physical. I started already. I've always battled with my physical, but this year is the year where things are going to change.
No, I definitely appreciate that. And so, what's in terms of Beck Insurance, what's your vision for Beck Insurance this year, especially, with some of the legislative changes that are taking place in Florida, a lot of the weather, the market, kind of where do you see yourself in your business this year?
So the market in Florida, as a lot of people may know, it's the craziest market. It's getting worse and worse and crazier. But besides that, I brought on, and I want to give a shout out to my boy, my cousin, my best friend, my brother, Irfan Choklar. Congratulations on getting licensed. Congratulations for being part of this big picture we got going. Thank you. I'm proud of you. And we got to do some great things together, and the future is bright as hell. Trying to getting into the nitty gritty of it is, building a profitable book of business with renewals, doing the right thing for all of our customers. Again, I said this before, but our customers are our bosses, so I don't answer to nobody besides my wife and my customers. So making sure we do the right thing for all of our customers, making sure they get the right coverages, the right rates. If we can find savings, if we can find certain discounts, great. If not, at least we'll make sure that their policies are good. But yeah, the big goals as far as digging into the numbers, we want to grow the book to at least 5 million by 2025. We're on our way there. Hopefully we'll get there. I think we will. Hopefully we'll kill it way before 2025, but we're on our way. Things are moving fast. I brought him on. The wife's helping. I got my nephew helping me with the social media. It's a full family business. My other nephew is actually saying that he could do a better job. So we got a little competition between my nephews on the social media. Maybe we'll bring him on to help out too. So yeah, it's going good. It's exciting. Again, PBD, the future is bright, and we're moving and grooving. Beck Insurance had our annual company meeting in Disney World a couple weeks ago. It was a good time with the family. So yeah,
I love it.
We're moving and grooving, baby.
That is fantastic. And so, it makes me think of. I'll share something with you guys. I think over the past maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months, I think one of the biggest things that I've struggled with, like in my heart, and I've struggled with in my mind that kind of gets me discouraged and depressed. There are a lot of times when I'm like, man, I got all this vision to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. But sometimes I don't feel like I have all the horsepower, right, around me to make that happen. And so, in my prayers and in my thoughts, I would get discouraged because I'm only one person and I only have but so much energy. during the day, and I can only juggle but so much. But then I realized it's like, well, you know what? Everything that I need for right now where I am in my life, I already have. And I need to be able to use that better. Right. And, I used to feel like I would have to rely on, like PBD calls it the running mate. Right. It's like, you need to have a running mate, someone right there. And I think that's true. Right. The Bible does say that two are better than one. Right. You have a good return for your work. So that is true. And I think at the same time, until you kind of get there, if you get there, you got to do what you got to do. And so I'm definitely blessed to also have people around me who help. Right. And I think when you have a team, you know what I'm saying, Sirmet? It's you can get so much more accomplished. And I think, Sean, you've worked on that, working with your spouse, but also having people work for you virtually. Right. So, what are your plans with regards to legacy, for this year and years going forward? Do you plan on using that same model? And I know that you've had other people, like, non-virtual people, and some have worked and some haven't. So talk about what you look for in individuals when you're bringing them on to the legacy team.
Oh, attitude, coachability, and work ethic, right? I have created a few surveys in addition to just standard, resumes that we look at that really help get into the mindset of the candidate. And so I don't want to hire anyone that's not already committed to self-development, because if they're not actively improving themselves and their life on their own time, then they're not going to be a good cultural fit, right? So I need somebody that is kind of naturally hungry, starving even, that I can kind of guide and show them how to make a healthy profit in this business of risk management and insurance. I have a skill set of, just years and years of education, just mastering my craft, right? I still believe that this is a great industry to work in. It's a get rich slowly type of business, right? But it's virtually recession proof. And so if someone is willing to put in the time and effort, I'm not going to promise them that they're going to get rich overnight, which could be the case in maybe real estate. It has its bubbles and it's peaks and valleys, but we got excellent training program. I built out an entire intranet, and so moving forward into the future, it's not necessarily what I need to do. It's more so who I need to become.
That's right.
As Sirmet was speaking about, like, leadership is not something that's been innate for me. Everyone that I admire, whether it's Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins. I mean, these guys have 20 to 30 years of leadership experience. So then in my mind, I'm like, well, how many years do I have? 2, 3? And so, like, I can't quit. I have to be patient. And so, the main priority is a healthy profit margin. It doesn't make sense to grow your business too fast and scale chaos if you're unprofitable. So I don't mind doing the grunt work. This is what I'm built for. But I do need, to your point, Vision, or to your point, Brandon, to scale with motivated people to take the organization to the next level.
Right.
So I think when I become who I need to be, there's going to be a natural attraction of those candidates gravitating towards our organization. So I'm still actively working on improving every facet of the business, whether it's the customer experience and our value add to future candidates. So it's a never-ending work in progress, right?
Right. No, absolutely. And you mentioned a few different names there. a lot of times when I listen to like the motivational stuff, I'm either at the gym, right, or I'm doing something around the house. And I think when I listen to like on YouTube Motiversity, right, or whatever it is, like it's almost, to me, it's like a reinforcement, right? I don't want it to be like what my main feeding is, right? But it should really be, help to buoy what's already in there. And I know you mentioned a few names, like when I listen to some of the things like Billy Alsbrooks, shout out to Blessed and Unstoppable. It's a few years old, but there's different versions. I love it. Of course, Dr. Eric Thomas, and I really love his passion, right? And I really respect that passion and the fact that he's from Detroit, Michigan, from the inner city, right? And me being from Baltimore, Maryland, it's like you can raise up and you can do anything in spite of whatever external factors are trying to hold you down, right? But then I look at other people who are not necessarily so motivational, but they're very pragmatic, right? Someone like Donald Miller. And Donald Miller is someone, I don't know if you guys follow him, but I follow him very closely. Business Made Simple. I follow his podcast. I have a couple of his books. I talk about his books, and he really teaches you how to run your business, right? From the nuts and bolts on up to scaling and marketing. And those types of things I really appreciate, because again, it's more substance, right? That we can go ahead and share with people, as far as that's concerned, for sure. So what would you say, just out of curiosity, to throw this out there, what would you say, is there a difference? Give me the differences between, right? I'm going to throw 3 names out there for you. Okay. Give me the main difference between your man PBD, Grant Cardone, and Tony Robbins. Okay. What distinguishes them 3 within the entrepreneurial and motivational space?
Sean, you can take this one, bro.
He's been thinking about this for weeks. It's interesting, right?
I mean, they're all passionate.
Yeah, I would say what I get from Tony Robbins is all about breaking self-limiting beliefs.
Okay.
And kind of changing your perspective. It's what he talks about a lot of subjects, right? So it's not always motivation, right? I've been to his business mastery seminar. Right now I'm reading his book on health. I thought it was very cool. He put a 600-page book together with some of the top medical doctors in the country about unconventional ways to improve your health.
Right.
And so he's a multifaceted guy, but for me, he's helped me break a lot of self-limiting beliefs and think bigger. I would say Grant Cardone in that same vein with 10X or Be Obsessed or Be Average. Kind of just reinforcing that a lot of things that we learned in school or growing up, middle class or lower middle class, is erroneous and flawed thinking. And so he also has a lot more to offer if you want to learn more specifically about real estate. I'm enrolled in some of his courses, and his content on sales is also great if you're training a sales team or just need a refresher on sales. And then I would say out of the 3 that you mentioned, Brandon, PBD, I would say is probably the most applicable to me right now, being that he's in the insurance and financial services industry. He scaled a business to however many thousand people, agents that he has, 20,000 or so. And I would say the prior 2 motivate me, but PBD is more pragmatic in the sense that he gives you practical things that you can execute, like a series of next steps or case studies that you can kind of study. And so I try to read or listen to books that he's recommended. And I would say Valuetainment is one of the best YouTube channels that I subscribe to. I try to, between him and maybe Alex Hormozy, I would say, in my opinion, they're putting out the best content right now on business.
Shout out to Alex Hormozy for sure. Yep. So what you got, Sirmet?
Very similar. PVD on valuetainment. Like I started with him with valuetainment back around when I read 10X, which was like 2015 ish. The one video that kind of sticks in my mind is the 20 Rules of Money Valuetainment. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's free. And he really talks about money. Like you got to seduce money. Money doesn't like haters. Basically, money you gotta put money to work and that kind of stuff. So exactly like Sean said, there's like his videos that especially the older valuetainment, like training video, like I don't know if they're training or just like stuff you could watch and learn. Super applicable 20-minute, 30-minute clips that you could apply right away and see it work. Kind of crazy, but yeah, if you want cliff notes on like really good cliff notes that are also somewhat entertaining, go to Valuetainment on YouTube and watch those videos and thing again. And then Tony Robbins, I don't know if you guys read the book Unshakable. That was a really good financial freedom book about investing and how that, investing in S&P 500 or like an index fund is the best way to financial freedom. And what did Warren Buffett say? The eighth wonder of the world is compounding interest. And he talks about that in there. And I got to check out Life Force, Sean. You said Life Force is really good. I was just on his live. I caught the one. I was telling Brandon, I caught the one when it was like couples. I don't know if it was couples therapy, but like couples growth. And that was actually really good. Communication is key with your spouse.
Mm-hmm. Destiny.
Yeah, that's called. You got tickets to Date with Destiny. I got to go check
Palm Beach.
He lives right here. Palm Beach. When is it?
It's always in December.
All right,
so I got a place to stay, Sirmet.
I got you, bro. I got to sign up for that. Yeah, you crash here, bro. Plenty of room.
And it's funny that you mentioned that just generally because there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who they want something tangible. They want something that's going to help them to get where they want to go. I think a lot of us have the same type of motivation, right? The same type of desire, that inner passion, like something because we want to be something in our lives, right? We want to be someone. We want to do something. It's all there. And I think, men and women who put on these types of conferences, seminars, whatever it is, kind of bridge that gap, right? And people are willing to pay. They're willing to pay a lot of money, because they see the return on investment for them is not just being monetary, right? But it's more, okay, who are you going to become, right? As you had mentioned earlier, Sean. And I think that that's kind of the magic, in a sense, that they've been able to touch upon. They've been able to, they've been able to hone in on that. And again, I really admire that. And that's something that, I'm looking to do here, like in the DMV, like what can I do? What can we do, right, to help a lot of the entrepreneurs here, within this particular region, within this particular area, to do a lot of that same thing if you're not going to get on the plane and fly to Florida, right? Even though I'd love to do that. Every other weekend, Sirmet.
Anytime.
See you at La Playa. So, but again, shout out to these people because it's what they're doing. And it's been motivational and it's been helping people like us. And I think it's spurred on that discipline. I don't know if necessarily listening to a video or going to something is going to give you discipline. I think that's something that's more homegrown, right?
That's an internal game.
Yeah. No one can. It might do that.
Let's jump on that for a minute.
Yes,
it might help you create a better why or a new why that you can actually create the discipline for. That's going to motivate you to create the discipline for. That's kind of like the whole game, I guess, or one of the parts of the game where it's a mental struggle.
Yeah, no, and it's true, and and again, we speak directly to entrepreneurs, right? But for people who are in a particular job and they want to advance within their job, right? What's that called, guys?
Entrepreneur.
The entrepreneur, right? as your boy PBD talks about it. I mean, at some point in my life, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but that kind of changed, and kind of here we are. Here we are. So as we prepare to end off, and I'll start off with you, Sean, and then we'll end off with you, Sirmet. What would you say to the individual or the individuals who are listening to this podcast, who will listen to this podcast, and they either A, want to start their own business in 2023, or B, they want to transform their existing business in 2023? What would you say to those individuals?
I think you said something interesting earlier, Brandon, that we all want to improve. We all want to become something greater. We all want more out of life. I would say the number one mistake that most people make when they're going through any kind of transformation, whether it's their business, their health, their finances, is that they focus on what they have to give up. And that's a losing game. Change your focus to what there is to gain. Right? It makes the process that much more enjoyable when you have this future vision of what it's like on the other side. All the personal sacrifices and the discipline that you put in and day out. Although the improvements may be very minute, compounds over time to something great if you have the patience and discipline, to grind it out for a year, 5 years, 10 years. But most people are focused on what they have to give up in the short term. And so they focus on the inconveniences, whether it's, giving up their favorite foods for a diet, giving up sleep, giving up leisure time. If you focus on that, your journey is going to be very difficult. So I would just give a piece of advice to just practice visualization. Know that there's a future you out there that is depending on who you are today to bridge that gap. And it's only going to happen with daily discipline and motivation.
I love it. Love it. Thank you. And what you got, Sirmet?
Don't wait. Don't wait. Move your A and go. Start building the habits. Don't wait for it. If you're thinking about it, go. If you have the desire to do it, or not even the desire, if you're thinking about it, either hit up one of us and we'll tell you what you need to do exactly, step by step. We could probably help you with that. We all have had a lot of experiences build getting into business of our own, so we can help you with that. But also, don't wait, man. Don't wait. Don't wait. Life is short. You could do it now. Go, run. I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
That's right.
As Mark Wahlberg once said.
That wasn't the other guys that moved.
That was the other guys. Yeah.
The movie was crazy.
It's a great movie.
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously surround yourself with people who have already been where you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Reach out, or let's say you got PPD, try to reach out. I mean, he's kind of unreachable, but kind of reachable at the same time. Reach out, you want to build an insurance business. What better of a sample or formula he has his formula on his YouTube channel. So just go on his YouTube, watch his videos. There's the formula. Okay, now you run.
And you may not be able to reach him, but you can reach 50 other agency owners within a 50-mile radius of you.
Right.
And probably get 10 or 20 of them to sit down with you for lunch and pick their brain.
Shout out to my boy Leo Martinez, Valuetainment.
That's right. Definitely shout out there. And it's one of the things you just said reminded me of your boy, Jocko, right? When I listen to his videos, it's all about now, right? Try to do his voice now. Don't wait, and it's, but it's true. It's true. And I think that the more we wait, we train ourselves to wait, right? Yeah. We give ourselves that expectation.
There's never a perfect time. There's never a perfect time. There's never a perfect time.
No, there isn't.
I'm going to wait for kids. I'm going to wait to this. Oh, this has got to happen. And then I'm going to do this. No, what are you waiting for? Life is short, bro.
Right.
We might not wake up tomorrow. We might not wake up tonight.
Yeah.
You know, God forbid, but you don't know. That's God's plan, and don't wait, man. Life is short. Go run, go do what you want to do. The world, we live in America. This is the best country in the world. It's the freest country in the world. Everything's at your fingertips. We have Google. This is the information age. It's right there.
That's right. Well, I think that's a great way to end this podcast. So, you know, guys, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight. I appreciate your vulnerability and the things that you've shared. And again, I look forward to us doing this a little bit more regularly, you know, together, because I think that as kind of quote unquote normal men, right, out here, you know, there's so many people that can, you know, hopefully relate to the things that we're experiencing and things that we're aspiring for, again, as entrepreneurs, as fathers, as husbands, and as community servants. So with that, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Vision2Mission experience with my man Sirmet and Sean, the dream team, the insurance dream team, no doubt about it. Love you guys. Take care, peace, and God bless.